We're backstage at the NRA ILA's Leadership Forum. Honored to be joined by Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Senator, it's so nice to meet you. It's so good to have you here.
It's great to be here. I appreciate the invitation to come to the NRA convention here in Indianapolis. Great crowd, a lot of enthusiasm, and an important cause.
Absolutely. Before we talk about the Second Amendment, and I know you're big on First Amendment, as am I, can we just talk about the state of the Senate right now? It just seems like it's in such gridlock when it comes to Harry Reid and his obsession with the Koch brothers and all the frustrations you guys have on your side of the aisle. Where are we in the Senate right now?
Well, I think the Senate majority is trying to change the subject away from the conditions in the country, the joblessness, the implementation of Obamacare. The country's not in good shape, and they know that they're headed toward a really bad election this fall if it stays the same. And they don't want to talk about Obamacare. They don't want to talk about the jobs that have been lost. They want to talk about something else. And so we've had all these distractions off on issues that are not really, frankly, relevant to getting the country back on track. So it's sort of a head fake, an effort to divert attention away from their challenges. Honestly, I don't think much is going to happen in a Democratic-led Senate. Let me suggest a solution: a new majority with a new majority leader, because the majority sets the agenda. They decide what we're going to consider. And a new majority under myself as majority leader is not going to be trying to restrict people's First Amendment rights or Second Amendment rights. We're going to try to focus like a laser on getting the economy moving again by restricting these job-killing measures that have put us in such a bad place in the country. In other words, go in a different direction. That can happen if we have a new Senate and a new majority next year.
Let's start with the First Amendment. You early on were very interested in what's going on with the IRS and the lowest learner, just talking about Citizens United and McCutcheon. What is the state of the First Amendment right now? Because we see so many attacks. Even just today we saw a story, University of Hawaii was stopping kids from handing out the Constitution. How have we gotten to this place?
The good news is the current Supreme Court is very good on First Amendment political speech, very good. The bad news is most of the Democratic administration and some of the state Democratic administrations want to quiet the voices of dissent. They want to use the power of the government, like we saw in the IRS scandal, to quiet the voices of their critics, to get them to sit down and to shut up. And anytime any of those actions end up in court, mercifully, thank goodness, this is one area where the U.S. Supreme Court has been quite good, both on First Amendment political speech and Second Amendment rights as well. So the ultimate protection at the moment is in the courts. A better way at the federal level to see to it that doesn't happen is to change the Senate, because a new Senate under a new majority leader would have a very different view about the debate we had last year, for example, over gun control measures. They didn't pass. There was bipartisan opposition to them. But those kind of measures, if I were setting the agenda instead of Harry Reid, would not be things we'd be debating in the Senate.
Let's go Second Amendment. Let's talk about Kentucky. What is, what have you done and what will you do for your average Kentucky resident to protect their Second Amendment rights? And what is the state of the Second Amendment just in the Bluegrass state?
The state of the Second Amendment in the Bluegrass state is good. We have great reverence for the Second Amendment. Many Democrats in Kentucky feel the same way. So I think at the state level, in state government in Kentucky, there are probably not many threats. But what happens is if you elect, honestly, a Democrat from Kentucky, they'll go and follow the Harry Reid agenda. And I think, if my opponent were to be successful in the fall, she'd be a vote for no change in the Senate. The same majority leader, same approach, same agenda. So I think we need to consolidate our situation in Kentucky and then change the Senate in order to take the country in a different direction.
Last question, sir. When you look at opinion polls, you'll be honest, your numbers aren't good. Not you personally, just Congress. Congress has very low approval, House and the Senate. What should the average person know that you are trying to do, your colleagues are trying to do to make a difference in this country? And what can the people who are frustrated do to get to you and to tell their frustrations to you?
Look, the Congress richly deserves a low approval rating. I would not give the Congress a high approval rating.
If they asked you, you'd pull it low too?
No. we deserve a low approval rating, but I think that's an argument for changing the government. And the way you change the government this year, there's no presidential election, the way you change the government this year is to change the Senate. A new agenda with a different approach to try to get the country headed in a different direction. So I think the current Senate deserves low standing, richly deserves it. They've been debating all the wrong things. We need to go in a new direction. And I'm hoping and pretty optimistic that the American people have about had it with the Obama administration on a whole lot of things, not the least of which is First and Second Amendment restrictions, which they've been into. The administration's been advocating for some time now.
Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, thanks for your time, sir. It's an honor to meet you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.